Hello, my name is Simon Miller from What Culture Wrestling, and you are listening to the PodMania Pro Wrestling Podcast, and you better keep listening to it. Why? Here's why.
You're listening to the PodMania Pro Wrestling Podcast, a sample of the best pro wrestling podcasts we can produce on our tiny budget. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, CastBox, and all other podcast platforms. If it's wrestling you want, check out more of our great content at podmania.co.uk. Let's do this.
Episode of the PodMania Podcast. We are back, finally, all three of us on one podcast. Welcome back, Chris. Welcome back, Garth, even though technically you were here last week. It was me who wasn't here, and then the podcast never materialized because of internet issues, so there's actually been a big gap in podcasts, even though we did record one. Hi, guys, how are you?
Hi. It turns out I'm not very fit to judge RuPaul's Drag Race because my favourites have been knocked out 2 weeks in a row now.
Garth, how are you?
I'm okay, battling a cough and more illness, but I'm raring to go. I'm ready to rock.
Good stuff. That sounded like the most pitying. I'm battling a vicious case of the cough.
This is what you get for having children.
What, a cough? Is that it?
So Garth really is like my mother. Okay.
It's this constant disease.
Are you talking about the
everywhere.
actual disease or your children?
Pestilence. Oh, it's vile. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, for the eagle-eyed among you, you will have actually seen the title of this podcast and realised that once again we have not done the retro pay-per-view review we had announced that we were going to do, simply because...
Fucking you lads will do anything to put off progress. Oh, we have real lives. Like, fuck, you have real lives.
Unfortunately, with this sheer spate of wrestling that has recently come out, obviously AEW Dynamite is just getting into the flow of things. NXT's gone to 2 hours. We've got the WWE draft, which nobody gives a fuck about, but it's happening.
Oh, I'm going to watch that. That's going to be the first time I've watched SmackDown in months.
Yeah, I'm probably going to watch it, to be perfectly honest. But even so, with all of this...
don't fucking lie.
With all of this, it's just been impossible to do a podcast, really, and to watch another pay-per-view, which is 4 hours long. So... We're going to do
3.5 hours long.
Yes,
Rob.
How dare I exaggerate, Chris? How dare I exaggerate?
It's even short if you watch it on 2 times speed.
I could have had fucking Wembley, which is 4.5 hours long. So.
And we are eternally grateful that you didn't do that. So, the idea today, we've already done Chris's very controversial top 10 wrestler list.
Was it controversial? Was it actually I don't even know if we get comments. I don't read them. Was it actually controversial?
Honestly, mate, you would not believe it. It blew up. Absolutely blew up. Who is this absolute mark? And why does he have a top 10 list?
Fucking CM Punk is his number one. Okay, all right. To be fair.
As soon as you announced number one, CM Punk, so many people stopped listening.
Okay, is that actually the case?
No, is it fuck? No.
Like, no, but I think about because
it's just me.
That's something I feel
Grumpy Garth in the comments.
Point. All 3 of our podcast top 10 favorite wrestlers are going to be very fucking different because we're all from different generations of wrestling fans, and I think that makes our podcast better than most podcasts. No, because like we have Rob, who's like he likes Kane, which tells you all you need to know. You have Garth, who's from the 80s.
Golden
and then
Garth.
you had me who grew up with the internet. So like we all have very different perspectives.
Grew up with the internet.
But I say that my house didn't have the internet until 2008. So
still barely has internet now.
Fucking post office. Get your shit together. It actually has. I need to show you guys that actually is a post office router. It has the post office logo.
Oh, please send a message of that to the group chat.
And it's on the other side of the house, so it explains so much about me.
Oh, it really does. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, what is going to happen is we are going to do a top 10 list for each of the people on the podcast. Chris has done his, and tonight it is Garth's turn. Garth, we're very much handing the ball to you tonight because we've got fuck all idea what is coming. I mean, me and Chris can probably guess who's number one.
Number 10, Tighty, what the fuck?
So, this is very much a Garth-hosted podcast. I'm going to take a seat very, very far away and just listen to your dulcet tones.
Well, the eagle-eared and eyed probably would have noticed that we've done this already, top 5, back in the, I think it might be in the very first podcast we did.
Oh, it was, because I listened to it in preparation for my top 10, just to make sure there wasn't too much overlap. Yeah, that was the very first thing. And it was actually... it's actually amazing because it's very clear you two aren't fully yourselves because you're trying to impress each other.
I was desperately trying to flirt with him, in fairness.
Garth is a lot more diplomatic than he is now.
Because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, we've dug down to the very, very smarky inner core of Garth.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant.
The grumpy old bastard.
The man who is just floored by one single cough.
No, that's me. I was listening to that podcast and I was like, that's not Garth. What the fuck is going on?
He's far too chirpy.
Yeah, if you want to laugh, please go back and listen to the earlier countdown episodes. They are apparently absolutely hilarious.
If you really want to laugh, listen to the original Young Lions that I posted. They're not bad. I'm just really fucking funny. So.
All right then. Jesus.
Shameless self-promotion. Anyway, Garth,
Shall we start?
You're tired, hungry, ill, and just everything in
I'm
the
not hungry. I'm all right. I'm all right.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, get going, man.
You ready for number 10?
Of course, born ready.
Number 10 is... Money, 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 money.
Oh, Ted DiBiase Jr.
Don't you dare.
Don't you mention his fucking name in vain.
Everybody's got a price. $1 million man, Ted DiBiase, number 10.
That is the best theme ever, isn't it?
It's such a perfect theme. Yes, he's my number 10. Even though I only caught him sort of later on in his career, sort of late 80s, early 90s, like I just fell in love with his character straight away.
Beating a capitalist.
His feud with Dusty Rhodes, where he had Sweet Sapphire, where he bought her from
Very
Mint Court.
do you know the story behind Sapphire? But she got hired because she was an actual proper Dusty Rhodes mark, so they knew they could pick up Dusty. So then, as soon as she ended up with DiBiase, she fucking quit.
Not fucking great. That was when they were totally screwing over Dusty as well.
Yeah.
Ted DiBiase was great. He was such because he had to work with like the likes of Hulk Hogan and others who weren't so gifted in the ring.
Very limited.
So he was another one of the ones who would basically be the workhorse of the match and make these people look great. But his in-ring stuff was great. His promos were amazing. His vignettes were fucking magic. When he teamed up with IRS, that was a really good feud. And then when he retired and did his managerial stuff, that really worked as well. He just had a bit of everything. Then he went to the NWO and did the same thing.
Billionaire Ted.
Yeah. It's just one of my favorite characters. Character wrestler, like more than anything, he was just a good character. Yeah,
He was
number
definitely
10.
Absolutely.
I was actually introduced to DiBiase at a young age because I had WrestleMania 4 on VHS that I found in a pound shop in Berwick, of all places. And I remember seeing him, and he gets to the final at WrestleMania 4, and at that age, you don't know what good and bad wrestling is. And I was sort of like, who the fuck is this guy, this absolute fucking cunt? Which, to be fair, for his character, is perfect. But also, don't question why 11-year-old me was saying cunt.
He's Scottish, it's fine.
I mean, you look at some of the stuff that he did. I mean, he had a black manservant. It just stuff like that doesn't really translate very well in today's society.
Very quickly with Virgil, he's such a carny, isn't he?
100%. Absolutely.
He will now. Can't get away with it anymore. But he used to say, "Oh, Dirty DiBiase will come up," and then turn up on the day going, "Oh no, Ted cancelled." But I'm here. Virgil's here. Don't worry.
The man with the worst punches in wrestling, except for Shane McMahon.
That's the equivalent of thinking you're going to get Woody from Toy Story and getting the little remote control car.
I think I would rather watch the little remote control car in Toy Story at WrestleMania than Virgil.
To be fair, so would I. But I think all of us would. Let's not kid ourselves. It's a little remote control car going up against Brock Lesnar. So.
Oh, that would be incredible. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, and let's not forget Ted DiBiase's biggest claim to fame, and that is becoming Raw General Manager on the PodMania Universe mode, Garth.
Damn right, yeah.
Oh, fuck, aye. That is the thing you're doing, isn't it?
Last seen arm in arm with the Iconics.
Oh, play it, Ted. Play it, Ted.
That's so creepy.
But great at the same time.
Yeah. Last thing, I feel like when I finally get my Progress Universe mode up and going, when 2K20 comes out, that's going to be in such stark contrast to Garth.
Garth is still very much in the golden era, and more power to him.
Speaking of the golden era, number 9.
Oh.
Chris is going to love this.
I'm very happy he's not further up. This is actually very relevant because I watched quite a bit of his New Japan stuff recently.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man.
The Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, number 9.
Why is he so low on your list?
That's not... Fucking his WCW theme's better.
Yeah, but
he's got the red, white, and blue, and he don't even know what to do. It's amazing.
I thought I had to put him in here. I had to put him in the top 10 because he is the gateway to so much wrestling for most people my age, especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Pop culture wise, he's still arguably the biggest, most well-known wrestler.
Because he won't fucking go away.
Well, they bring him back for a reason.
Yeah, they bring him back because the Saudis only just got the 1980s transmissions.
They're still thinking he's going to turn up in that sort of shape. Whoa, who's this midget?
I actually remember the first time I saw Hulk Hogan, and it was in 2007, 3 months into watching the 20th anniversary or 15th anniversary Raw. And he turned up, and I'm like, who the fuck is this old cunt?
You didn't know about Hulk Hogan till then?
No, because my family, I'm weird anomaly, because my family are completely against the idea of wrestling.
Completely against the idea of wrestling.
No, my dad will watch schlocky sci-fi, but then when he walks, I'll commandeer the living room for NXT takeovers. Actually, my mum gets into it, which is the weirdest thing. But my dad walks in and goes, "It's fucking fake." I'm like, "The shit you watch, Jesus Christ."
I love the idea of your mum because I know who your mum's favourite wrestler is as well. Which makes it sound like
Hanson.
Hanson. Which makes it sound like I've slept with her. I know your mum's favourite wrestler.
Fucking I'm not being funny, Rob. She's a bit below you.
Oh, thanks, man.
Whoa, fucking hell.
I mean, ouch, but thank you.
Is it ouch to you though?
No, it's lovely to me. I mean, it's a horrible thing to say about your own mother, but thanks, man.
She said worse.
So, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
Hulk Hogan. Yeah, sorry.
Is Chris trying to derail this chat about Hulk Hogan?
It is.
I do have some praises for Hulk Hogan, which we'll get onto after you jizzed all over.
I'm not going to jizz all over. It's just, obviously, coming from that era, it was hard not to be all-encompassed by it, because he was, like John Cena became, the man of wrestling, all of wrestling, because that's all you got back then. And but I mean, he had good matches, or he put on good spectacles, not necessarily good wrestling matches. But no, I always enjoyed the stuff, like the Undertaker feud he had was good fun. The stuff he did with Warrior was probably the best stuff he did. Then when he came back, and he did even the Mr. America stuff, I enjoyed it because it was.
I can't fault the Macho Man feud at all.
It was Hulk Hogan, and stuff he did in WCW with Flair, and that heel turn is still the best heel turn ever.
Yep, I agree.
I can't disagree with that with the heel turn.
He still offered so much, even though he was holding down so much. Still,
when we say holding down, we mean other people, not himself.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like he did obviously propel himself to the top, but more fool the fucking manager for letting him do it.
Here's the thing: Hulk Hogan, for someone, especially of my generation, is someone who's overshadowed by the bollocks he pulled.
Exactly, because it's the latter stuff that he's remembered on.
I do understand that, but also some of the bollocks he pulled was completely fucking unforgivable.
It's true. What he did, like,
have you heard the story of what he tried to do to Brian Pillman?
No, I've heard the other stories about what he tried to do with Vince.
Okay,
like,
but about Chicka Wow Wow.
Well, just where he basically refused to fucking turn up.
But with Brian Pillman, so it's right after that infamous moment where he went, "I respect you, Booker Man," and it was like a work shoot. It was like a proper work shoot because everyone thought it was a shoot, but it was a work. But then Pillman fucked off the ECW, so it turned into a shoot. It's all very muddy. But Hogan tried to have Pillman turn up the next week so he could bury Pillman getting over.
Well, thing is, that's all just because if you're leaving, you don't go out on top.
That's the thing with Hogan. He's someone who did not know how to let his career be.
Yeah.
And
at the
somewhat
same time,
sad.
it's probably, well, that's it. It's sad because it's probably because it's hard to let it go.
No,
especially when that's all you've got.
It's like after the fucking 50th Rolling Stones last tour.
Yeah, it's just like, let it be. But no, I had to put him on. I couldn't put him at number 10. And he is important to it all. And I still do believe that no Hulk and no wrestling as it is now. Because it wouldn't have reached his broader audience. He just had the charisma.
No, it's weird though, because like in terms of like actual pop culture references, I think Macho Man was bigger. In terms of Slim Jim, okay, some weird shampoo advert that Hogan did in Japan. They don't really stack.
Yeah, but Macho Man didn't have any movies.
Don't
Spider-Man.
bring his movies into it. Oh, for
Hogan
God's
had
sake.
Urban Commando, which also
Right.
had the Undertaker in, and
Garth,
Mr. Nanny. So yeah,
I've not seen either of them. So
That
I don't-
surprises no one.
yeah. So number 9, Hulkster. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention this feud with The Rock.
it wasn't really a feud. It was like one. It was
Well,
like
the
one
match.
mate. It was like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was still good.
It was fine.
And then Heartbreak Kid tried to fuck him over, didn't he?
Oh, fuck off with this,
Prick.
right? All right, so like Hogan, it's really fucking Hogan's fault. 'Cause Hogan's like, yeah, brother, I'll do a fucking trilogy, and then fucking Hogan goes, actually, nah, brother, we're gonna do one match, and I'm fucking going over, fucking and then so Sean, who is very professional at this stage in his career, put over the likes of Chris Jericho, Randy Orton,
John
Undertaker,
Cena.
John Cena, put everyone fucking over. But no, Hulk Hogan's a much bigger cunt, and fuck Hulk Hogan.
I will just say,
actually, no, enough.
it is easy to get caught up in all the bad things Hulk Hogan's done, and fucking hell, there are a lot of them. I mean, we've done well to navigate the fact that he is a steaming racist.
Steaming racist, sex tape with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, and by the way, who the fuck calls himself a love sponge?
If I was able to, I would call myself a love sponge. But I'm more of a love force field.
I'm incapable. I'm incapable of love.
Wow.
This is going to places I never thought it would.
But like I was saying, like it's easy to get sucked into the bad things that Hulk Hogan did. But in the late 80s, Hulk Hogan, it wasn't on the same scale as Beatlemania, obviously. But in wrestling, Hulk Hogan was wrestling. He could sell out Madison Square Garden on his own by being on the card. And Garth Wright, his feuds with, even Andre the Giant, the Bobby Heenan family, the Sheik, exactly. Everything he did was so iconic in that period. And then his stuff with Warrior the first time, God, the first time, not Halloween Havoc. But that match at
we're going to
WrestleMania
review
6,
that one day, and I know that we're going to review that one day.
His match at Mania 6, considering neither of them are even close to being capable wrestlers.
No.
Like, it was an incredible
I think
spectacle.
Hogan is capable of being a capable wrestler. I say they wouldn't bring him into New Japan if they didn't, but then again, they brought in Akabona in New Japan, so what the fuck do they know? But, like, if you look at Hogan's matches with Antonio Inoki, he is a good wrestler. He just doesn't care half the time in America.
Well, that was it. It was like, just go out and do those moves and that's it. That's all the kids want to see.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's all the Garth wants to see.
that was enough for me when I was 8. So, moving on. Number 8 is Trust Me. Jake Roberts.
He said trust me, and I thought you were Reverend Foggett, but never mind.
Oh, God. That was the second thing, actually, when he says trust me, when he was like heel, when he was full heel.
Oh, yeah, and then he started doing the fucking religious shit.
Yeah, Jake the Snake Roberts. Yes.
Jake the Snake's amazing.
Such an underrated, like, not wrestler, because I think everyone always does praise his back wrestling, but like performer. Like, he could sell and make it look like he was legitimately fucking hurt.
Well, he
probably
was just on the inside. He was just on the inside.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah. His gimmick was just like anything else. I mean, animal cruelty all over. So, it was the 80s and 90s.
Anything goes.
Exactly. But his promos were just something so different. So quiet and calm, but menacing, and like, he always had that undertone of psychopath, where you thought this guy could just fucking snap at any moment, but he never really did. He had his moments when he teamed up with the Undertaker for a bit. He crashed the wedding. The match made in heaven and the match made in hell.
SummerSlam 91.
Brilliant. But no, I was just, when I was a kid and watching him, it was always just mesmerizing to watch him. I mean, he even had good matches with the likes of Bad News Brown. And nobody at the time was using the DDT, which is just, it's like one of the most iconic moves now, which is just a move. But back then it was like, fucking hell. And the match with that, nobody delivered it like that. And like, my favourite feud of his was probably the most famous one he had with Macho Man, where he sicked Damien on him. And that, to a fucking, what was about 11 years old, 10, 11, that was fucking traumatizing. Watching Macho Man get savaged by this fucking python.
It was tough watching, that was, to be fair.
It was just the fact that they did it. Like, just insane. So, yeah. The thing is with Jake, he was in and out quite a lot, so he never really had a proper long sort of run. I mean, he did the whole religious thing and the Steve Austin thing, which is everybody knows about. But no, I think I had to put him again. He's another one I had to put on because of he's one of the first ones that I really got us into wrestling.
Sorry, I'm back. My phone dropped. Sorry. Hi.
Thought it'd gone quiet.
You still talking about Jake the Snake Roberts, or have I missed the whole entry?
Jake the Snake Roberts, yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry. Continue.
But no, like, that feud with Macho Man was amazing, and every time he's come back, well, every time he did come back before he went away for good, I don't know, something always just like made him. I don't even think he actually ever won anything. I don't think he won a belt.
No.
In WWE now he didn't. No, on WWE he never won a major belt, and it's such a shame.
But he was always someone that would get somebody over or would like when he got over it, it felt like such a big deal because he battled. Everything was a battle with him. He never sort of squashed people, or he always made hard work and stuff, which it made him feel a bit more human.
It's quite sad because
just in like in the land of like all of these muscle men, he was kind of just like a soft-bodied normal person.
Well, Jake the Snake is someone, with the exception of, who did he fight at Mania 4? Was it Rick Rude? It must have been. Yeah, it was Rick Rude. And it's such a shame because like he's someone people, especially in my generation, look at in retrospect as a cautionary tale. Like with the exception of Mania 4, my first introduction was Beyond the Ropes.
Oh yeah. Beyond the Mat.
And yeah, Beyond the Mat, and like
the downfall.
It's so like he had such a fucked life. Like he was abused and sexually assaulted as a child, and then his father's like a right cunt, like a proper cunt. And I know I say cunt a lot, so like the weight of the word has lost some meaning, but properly the fucking cunt. And then like and then he had like such problems, and then like you just need to see his promo and performance at what was it, Legends of Wrestling. You know that?
Yeah, that was hard watching.
You've got 21s. I'm gonna play 22. I'm like, that's not how blackjack works. Like, but his promo ability is
when he was on his game, his promo was
he could talk he can make anyone a baby face, including himself. Like he can manipulate. He draws you in.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why when anybody now does stuff like that, like in TNA used to have, well, in Impact you had Killer Cross was doing that exact same thing. Really slow, deliberate, monotone even.
And like you had the impression, and you know because it's 80s wrestling, but it's definitely ad-libbed.
Oh yeah.
But you get the impression that he is calculating every single word.
Exactly.
And you're genuinely uncomfortable whenever he's in the room. And I'm really happy he's now healthy. Because
he's good, yeah.
He's a low-key legend.
That's the thing. He's not like a sort of marquee name. He's not somebody who people sort of flash in the lights, but he was always somebody who I enjoyed watching when I was younger, and yeah, I used to get excited for his matches. So yeah, I had to put him on.
He's so good that we managed to get through an entry without alluding to the fact that snake can also mean penis.
Until now.
Until you came along, Chris. And this was just me and Rob. No issue.
I must just bring out the best in people. So yeah, that's number 8. Next up, number 7 is AEW's current world champion, Chris Jericho.
I like how you didn't even bother trying to do a theme song for that one.
Nah, I was going to do Break the Walls Down, but...
Break the Walls Down!
That doesn't fit now. AEW legend, Chris Jericho.
I think he's one of very few people who's never had a bad theme song.
I can only remember the 2 that he's had.
He also had King of My World by Saliva.
I don't remember it.
There was like used for like 3 months in 2002.
I think with Jericho, and when I was doing my list, I was like, where could I put Jericho in here? In place of who? And in the original list, in this spot, I had Razor Ramon. But the more I thought about it, and after what Jericho was doing now, I was like, nah, fuck that. He's a fucking bona fide top 10 legend.
You know what's funny? The same thing happened to me with my list.
Really?
No, because I'm pretty sure I explained this during the thing, but I was talking about. I was talking to you about my list before you went on air, and you were like, and then you were talking about Jericho because Jericho had done something. I'm like, oh fuck, Jericho exists. Where the fuck am I going to put Jericho?
I just think now that he's at this point and he's still top 10 talent, like top of the league talent, and
he's a draw wherever he goes.
And he's done the Japan thing, and he brought people to that. He made that a lot more mainstream. His stuff in WWE, ECW, WCW, even from like his first sort of appearances in WCW, they knew he had something. And he wasn't even particularly like good in the ring at that point. He was good, but he wasn't polished, and it was his charisma and his promo. I mean, people still cite stuff like his, was it 1,001 moves?
1,004 holds. Yeah,
right, that's it.
That's an amazing story because he was like going through it, and then it went to break, and he just started going, "This local sports team fucking sucks. You all fucking suck." And then came back, everyone's booing him, and it's like,
exactly.
154 armbar.
He, more than most people in that business, know how to work a crowd. He knows how to say the right things at the right time.
It's him and Bully Ray, and maybe Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. But, like, I mean, as an example, I don't know if you've watched episode 2 of All Elite, Dynamite, but he says something in that, and you're like, holy fucking shit, you can't say that. Where he calls Dusty Rhodes an asshole.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Where he was like,
fucking hell.
He just brings up Cody and like, by the way, for Rhodes an asshole. I'm like, Jesus fuck.
And I hated your dad, he was an asshole. It's like, but then the crowd react, and you know he doesn't mean it, but
no, because Dusty is universally loved.
So he just, and like as matches he's had, I'm trying to think of like Stan. He had as much as it wasn't amazing, I really loved his feud with CM Punk because it went places at the time that WWE just didn't normally go.
Oh, that feud is what got me back into wrestling. The fucking drink.
Exactly, about his dad and stuff. And where he even went, like, did he go like a pub in England or Ireland or something?
Yeah, he did. And he was like, and he just kept going through like progressively, if I remember correctly, I haven't watched this since it aired, but like going through progressively heavier drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. Like, last thing, I'm pretty sure we all grew up, well, maybe not Garth, but I'm pretty sure me and Rob both grew up with like very different Chris Jericho feuds. Like, I remember when Jericho came back. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say the first feud. I mean, when I first started watching wrestling, the first feud that Chris Jericho was in was with Kane over Coffee. So probably not a great example.
To be fair, no, but we're both the same about we didn't quite get Best Jericho because my first Chris Jericho feud was Babyface against Randy Orton when he first came back, which wasn't Best Jericho. But then he eventually morphed into Best Jericho.
Is that when he had the suit?
2008 suit Jericho, which everyone copied. Eric Young copied it. Jack Swagger fucking copied it.
That Shawn Michaels feud is, to this day, in my opinion, his best feud.
It's what cemented me as a wrestling fan, that feud. Because I've been watching for a year. I didn't get Raw, so I was sort of on and off. But then that fucking feud, I was like, Jesus. But like, it was a proper debating point in school whether Chris Jericho actually hit Shawn Michaels' wife in purpose.
Well, he even says now to this day that that's one of his favorite feuds because there was lots of realism
and some of the best matches because, quite frankly, they fought like they hated each other.
Uh-huh.
Like in that ladder match, No Mercy, No Mercy, right? 10 out of 10. I think we can all agree 10 out of 10 that fucking ladder match.
Yeah, it was a great match. It was a great match.
Yeah. And I mean, even the fact that he was, even later on where he was never like top of the card, but he was one of those people that knew that Vince always would turn to say, put this match over. The Money in the Bank matches, he always got put in them.
No, that's the thing. And then when RVD first came back, we had him have a match with Jericho. RVD immediately over, and it's like he doesn't get anything over. He put over Fandango. That's how much of a he is loyal to a fault.
Well, he's one of the people who, and if you listen to me, always says like, you need to know when to lay down. You need to know when to let people get some of the limelight.
I think because my twin brother, he doesn't give half a fuck about wrestling, but he knows who Chris Jericho is. So when I'm like, hey, Chris Jericho's not in WWE anymore, he's somewhere else, and he's like, oh, really? Fucking do tell.
Mm-hmm. It's just like I say, he's such an entertaining and sort of watchable person. I'm really excited to see what he does with this faction that he's got.
Oh, do you know the faction, Rob? Because I don't know if you've had time to watch AEW.
I haven't, so please don't spoil it.
Okay, so have you watched episode 1?
I have watched episode 1, yes.
Okay, then you know who's in it.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so
perfect.
What is it? It's him, Guevara, LAX, and Swagger.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, that's everything. We have the good tag team, the young gun, the muscle, and the veteran. They have everything we need. And Jericho is like the perfect veteran.
His promo is fucking dynamite.
Second fun. I think, especially for my generation, where a lot of Jericho that we got, with the exception of 2008, was sort of late 2012 to late 2015 Jericho, where like that's the one like sort of 3 years.
That was where he just stopped giving a shit, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, he turned up. He clearly just wanted to get his wrestling fix and leave, and then that Kevin Owens stuff. That's when he finally got good. Because that's when he turned up, and that's when eventually I was like, oh fuck off, Chris Jericho. And then post AJ Styles feud, that's when he got interesting. I'm like, well, fuck.
That Festival of Friendship thing, that whole thing was amazing. The list, the Jericho thing,
Jericho,
like that, like I say, the Festival of Friendship, the turn, everything was just perfect. And you can tell, like, it had Jericho, like, all over it, like all his ideas and stuff.
No, you have someone who's a genius like Chris Jericho and an amazing promo like Owens that just creates gold. And I'm really excited what he's going to do. Because that's the thing, me and Rob have seen more of his New Japan run than you have. But not much of it. It's a few matches. But, like, even that near... Like, when it got to him facing Okada, me and Rob were sort of like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I mean, I think one thing we can take from this is the fact that Chris Jericho, despite being, having been wrestling for, 20 plus years, his ability to continually reinvent himself, to make himself relevant, to continue making himself relevant, from his feud with Shawn Michaels when he turned heel and became that clinical heel, to his stuff with Kevin Owens and The List and the Festival of Friendship, to his New Japan run, that first match with Kenny Omega, when everyone was like, there is absolutely not a chance that Chris Jericho now, in what people perceived as this fat, flabby state, is going to be able to hang with who was at the time the best bout machine. And he did. It was an amazing match because Jericho reinvented himself again, became this, just this ridiculous, the Painmaker heel, and made it work because he's just fucking good.
He looks like someone who went to see The Cure in 1980 and never looked back.
So Garth.
Without the hair.
It's
Chris Jericho. The more we talk about it, the more I think he probably could have been higher on the list, actually. But
that's the thing, but also like that's the thing, especially with his AEW run, he's having he's managed to be like the biggest thing in wrestling right now without really putting on classic matches.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't put on a classic since the Kenny match. And I know, like, both me and Rob have praised, like, his that match with Evil was actually really good.
Yes, it was.
But also, it was still, like, not... Like, it wouldn't even touch, like, a top 50 of the year, I think.
I think I saw that one.
No, I think he's someone who is the biggest thing in wrestling without putting on like 10 out of 10s, which almost in today's
which
climate,
sort of proves the sort of theory that you don't have to be killing yourself to be.
I think a lot of that is today's climate, and to be fair, you don't need to kill yourself to have a match of the year contender for the record, but like sort of Jericho's not killing himself enough and not putting on match of the year contenders, but people are still fascinated to see where he goes, and that's just through sheer force of personality. Exactly.
So yeah, number 7, Christopher Jericho. Number 6 is Mr. Perfect. I'm not going to try and do his theme music.
Is it bad that I prefer the Curtis Axel remix of that?
It's fucking dreadful.
No, with the fucking drums. But I think it's much better.
Fuck off. We're talking about Mr. Perfect here, not goddamn perfect 0.5.
Mr. Alright.
Kurt Hennig, yes.
Yep.
He is what he says he is. Just, again, another, like Jericho, somebody who was, like, enthralling and, like, you could watch him talk for hours and hours, but he had the thing that Jericho doesn't necessarily have is he was a fucking amazing technical wrestler. His matches, it always comes up, his matches with Bret Hart's always said, like, that was one of his favourite sort of opponents because he was so easy to work with. Everybody, I think, in his, when they did the sort of DVD, all the people that came out and said, look, he was my favourite person I worked with because he made us look good. And that's testament to being a good wrestler. But he also got himself over with his promos, with his character. His teaming up with Bobby Heenan was genius because they were both so like enigmatic and like just fun to watch. That was the thing. And then when he had that little stint on commentary, he was good fun. And then he was managing Ric Flair, and again, it was like a perfect marriage of these two sort of egos.
Marriage.
Yes.
Wordplay.
Just. I was trying not to go there. But he had and again as a kid he was like the chicken shit heel who would go out of his way to try and sly out of a match, but he would get the upper hand probably through the brain healing getting involved, but just amazing. And I always remember my next door neighbour and his brothers used to just like watch him play wrestling and stuff, and I always used to pick Mr. Perfect. And I always used to try and do the perfect plex. And honestly, the amount of times that I fucking hit the like bunk beds and stuff like that trying to do this move or nearly break me back. But it was always Mr. Perfect. I don't know why. Just brilliant.
I think it's about Mr. Perfect, and this sounds like it's going to be a criticism, and absolutely not. He's someone who, even with my generation's very cynical way of looking at wrestling, like, believe it or not, guys, I'm very optimistic for my generation. And Mr. Perfect, someone. No, here's the thing, Rob. You think I make a lot of wanting to die jokes? You should see half my friends. But Mr. Perfect, someone I can't fault, and that's speaking as someone who's like 20 years out of his range.
Yeah.
Like, with the exception of, I don't like wrestlers who have finishing moves that go right into pinfalls, but that's a personal thing. Like, fucking, his vignettes, especially, have never really been topped.
Nah, the ones where he's doing the sports.
The basketball one is insane.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. Like, you just see that, I'm like, there's no way that's fucking real. Oh wait, it's the 80s and computers didn't fucking exist yet. Okay, fucking real then. But also just some of the shit he do on the way out to the ring. Like there was one where he spat out gum and swatted it away.
Oh yeah, he always just
and I'm like, Jesus Christ!
Even just come down to the ring with that towel and then do the little throw behind his back,
and then Heenan catching it.
Yeah, all those little things just.
It's just unbelievable.
Such a good character. But yeah, like the sad thing is, he was another one who was always just milling around the sort of Intercontinental card. He never got any higher. But I think that was because that was where the wrestlers were, and the other, like the heavyweight championships were more the big men and the characters. But like I said, the matches he had with Bret were amazing. He even had good matches with the likes of sort of Tito Santana and the Texas Tornado, like Rick the Model Martel, stuff like that. Just,
I know, but you know what's bad? I know just the fact we've included Texas Tornado in like the other section, and someone's gonna go fucking, oh, don't you bad talk with fucking Von Erichs, the fucking clown union were at the Sportatorium back in 1973.
Well, in the WWE, like. The Von Erichs didn't really.
There was one Von Erich.
Mean much. Yeah, that's it. He didn't really mean much. So, no. Now Mr. Perfect number 6.
A good number 6. Yeah. He's not the perfect one, but okay.
Hmm?
What do you think? What's the best Mr. Perfect rip-off? Do you think?
Rip-off?
Yeah, like
Bobby Roode.
You think Bobby Roode? I think Ty Dillinger.
I just see the moveset Bobby Roode does is even the shape of his body, the way he moves.
I guess.
He even does the
he does do the perfect play.
He does the blockbuster off the ropes, which Perfect used to do, and he does the one where he's sitting and they jump over the head and do the snap.
By the way, if you're like a young'un listening to this, and that's coming from me, who's never seen Mr. Perfect, watch his match with Brett at the 93 King of the Ring. Jesus fuck, what a match.
It's, just the clinic of technical and storytelling wrestling.
Exactly, and that's coming from a fucking young'un like me.
So, but number 5, so top 5, and it changed from when we did this originally. So, because Mr. Perfect was in the top 5 then, but I had a change of heart. Number 5 is Kurt Angle. Yes. It's real. Damn real.
I love Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's probably the person we spent the most time on when we did my list.
Yeah, because he just had such a treasure trove of fucking matches. Like, I don't think there's anybody else possibly had as much constantly good matches. Even when he was in like really shit feuds, he would still have good matches.
I think it's reasonably good to argue that up until about 2008, 2009, every year Kurt Angle was an active professional wrestler. He had a match of the year contender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What amazes me is, and continues to amaze me to this day, is the fact that Kurt Angle, from the moment he stepped foot in the WWE ring to his time in TNA, he put on outstanding matches in both companies. And I don't think there are many people who can say that they've been in two of the top companies in the world, as TNA was at the time, and put on as many good matches as he can, to the point where people have trouble differentiating between which run they think was the best.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's amazing. That pays testament to just how good. I mean, people say that backstage, people thought he was the shit. He was the person. There's a great story about how there's a match that Kurt Angle has with Big Show, and it's Eddie Guerrero and all this, and Eddie, something goes wrong, and both him and Kurt Angle go backstage, and Eddie, hot as fuck, goes after Kurt Angle, and apparently Angle just literally locked him in a front face lock, lowered him to the ground, and then
calm down.
And then just calm down. And it's just like, just the thought of Kurt Angle just going, all right, come here. Just literally to this really hot Eddie Guerrero, who apparently had a right temper on him, and just there you go, sorted. Just, that's amazing to me.
There's a great story of related to the backstage stuff with Angle as well. Triple H, who's like the ultimate politician in wrestling after Hulk Hogan fell off the face of the earth. 2001 it would have been, is when Angle was in his first run as champion just before he lost it, and Triple H was campaigning to have him win the title, just going to his mates going, yeah, he's too fucking small, isn't he? Pat Patterson heard that, came up to him and gone, tell you what, why didn't you go try and shoot wrestle Kurt Angle and see what fucking happens? And then Triple H never brought it up again.
Well, isn't there a story about Brock being one that, like, Kurt was one of the only ones that Brock ever backed down to?
Yeah. No, that's no one would actually step up to Kurt, because Kurt Angle would never try and get himself over. Like, if Kurt Angle was campaigning for something, it was for the betterment of the show.
The thing is, Kurt Angle, for the fact that he was, like, arguably the best wrestler in his heyday, one of the best in the world, the best easily in WWE, the fact he'd only been, like, doing the thing for about 3 years before then, and the fact he went and did some of the most stupidest, goofy shit he ever did.
Oh, the
fact that he was just having a good time, and he was happy just to do whatever.
I think he didn't fall in love with, like, pro wrestling as a child, but he clearly fell in love with it as soon as he fell into it. He's like, so this is my fucking calling. Okay, because I can't think of anyone as smooth as Kurt Angle. Like, maybe a Johnny Gargano, maybe a Daniel Bryan. Right, you don't need to cough your number one, Garth.
It's fairly obvious.
I mean, it just
I fucking would have loved to seen him and Bret Hart. That would be my dream match.
it would have been amazing.
To be fair, Kurt Angle is probably the person who has the most dream matches for me. Like, I think of like Angle versus Bryan, Angle versus current day Zack Sabre Jr., not like back in the day. Angle versus Okada would make me stiffer than an Ishii match.
Angle versus Gargano.
Angle versus Gargano. Angle versus Ciampa. Like, the hardcore shit they do would be amazing.
Angle versus what's it called?
Describe him to us.
He's married to Jordan Grace.
Oh,
Gresham.
Yeah, him, because he's a smooth bastard.
To be honest,
In fact,
you look at that spate of WrestleManias from 17 up until about 23, and
22 was his last one, but he was
22. Sorry, without fail, Angle was match of the show. His matches with Benoit, that submission match with Benoit was absolutely incredible. And then the one he had at Mania, the one with Brock at 19, the one with the one with the one with Michaels, the one with Cena, amazing.
He dragged a good match out of Kane.
He could drag a good match out of a mop.
And then he went to TNA and had arguably some of the best matches he's ever had.
His matches with Samoa Joe are stuff of legend.
Fucking Nigel McGuinness stuff.
Yeah.
Jesus fuck. He managed to put. Going back to TNA, he managed to put a good match out of Ken Anderson.
That is true.
Ken Anderson, Sting, Jarrett. Yeah.
He probably had Sting's best match, and Sting was shit.
Can we just quickly say as well, all of these things we're saying he did most of the time with a broken fucking neck.
Oh yeah, when was the last time his neck has never actually been healthy? If anyone says it has been, they're fucking lying.
I mean, he wrestled the WrestleMania 19 match with a broken neck, or at least a botched neck.
And then, the reason he left WWE is because of the neck, and they wouldn't give him time off. And that he had 6 months, and then he was in TNA, so it can't have been fully healed anyway. So.
See, the story I'd heard about Kurt leaving the WWE was that they wanted him to have time off, and he didn't want it. He didn't. Basically, they said, "We can't let you wrestle, Kurt. Look at the fucking state of you." And he just said, "Well, clearly you don't want me."
Those remember those really, really sort of like backstreet shoot interviews they used to do, where it was just basically shot in a hotel room.
Yes,
he did one of those, and they used to always be on some shitty wrestling channel on Sky. And I remember watching it with him, and he said what had happened is he got so hooked on painkillers that they wouldn't operate until he was clean, and Vince wouldn't let him take time off to get clean. So he was wrestling through the pain using painkillers, and it was just a vicious cycle. So then when his contract came up, he says, "I'm not signing it until you let us have time off," and they just never got back to him.
And you look at Kurt Angle's position in the company. Then he's still what was that? 2006? Did he leave? Is that when he turned up in TNA? 2006,
something like that. Yeah.
And he was still the best wrestler in the company.
Yeah. Then he went on to have amazing feuds with, firstly, Joe and
Joe's matches are amazing. I mean, you put on top of this, TNA put every single belt on him at one point at the same time. And no one went, "Well, that's bollocks," because it was Kurt Angle.
And that's the thing, like nobody, I don't think there's any wrestling fan anywhere ever has ever said, "Kurt Angle, I don't like him, or he was shit."
Overrated,
ever. Yeah, never.
No, I
he's
agree.
So fucking good.
He is, absolutely.
Number 5. I mean, these 5, 4, and 3 are quite interchangeable. They could be either or because they're all quite linked in a way. So from Kurt Angle, we'll go to number 4, and it is the phenomenal one, AJ Styles.
Nope, they don't want none.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Get ready to fly.
That's a better song.
Yep.
I prefer his federal. Actually, no, his best song actually is his Ring of Honor song.
Never heard it.
Never heard it.
Well, I was a proper Ring of Honor mark back in like 2013, 2014. So,
But AJ, probably for all the same reasons Kurt Angle's on this list, just fucking amazing.
it's just perfect.
Yeah. And again, he's another one of the very few where there aren't many people up to criticise him ever.
I can't
Again,
think of any. The only person I've ever seen talk shit about AJ is Rob Van Dam. But to be fair,
Is that when he's high?
yeah, exactly.
When's he not high?
I was about to say, like, fucking RVD never cleans his room because he got high.
But AJ again, I remember like first watching sort of TNA and watching this fucking guy just flying around, literally doing stuff at that time that nobody was doing. Nobody was doing springboard DDTs off the fucking rope. Nobody was doing that stuff like the calf crusher that I used to do, where you would like sort of flip them over first and then do it. The Styles Clash was just a move that nobody was doing, and it was all this stuff. It was like seeing a wrestler from like, I don't know.
Now,
Well, it is. It's like everyone does it now, so it's not really sort of special anymore. But back then, it was like there were very, very few people who were doing it. You had like Rey Mysterio was doing stuff like that, but not at that time and not to that sort of ferocity because it was WWE and they were holding Rey back. But there's early stuff in the X Division, stuff he did with Joe Daniels, Christian Cage, all that stuff. Just fucking amazing.
is another one where if you've watched professional wrestling over like the past 20 years or so, well, not 20, 15, you have a I'm pretty sure we all named our favorite AJ Styles match. It's all very different.
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite AJ match?
It's hard. Honestly, probably is his 3 matches that he had with Daniels.
Interesting.
The one where he took him off the stage with the Styles Cast through a table.
Oh fuck! That was gross.
That's a great
That's disgusting.
match. It's a great
How about you, Rob?
match.
What's your favorite AJ match?
I've got two that I can't really differentiate from. Me and Garth did TNA Destination X 2012 and his match with, was it Christopher Daniels?
Mm-hmm.
Which was just absolute lunacy. And then his match with Shinsuke Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom 10 was just absolutely. It was everything I wanted their match at WrestleMania 34 to be and more. And it was
his match at WrestleMania 34 is what got me stopping watching WWE because I'm sort of like, okay, we can put on the same match and not have the same quality. Okay, I'm fucking out then.
It's weird because like AJ, when he went to WWE, and then the masses started like, oh fuck me, who's this guy? He's amazing. At that point,
exactly.
I was saying to people, I fucking told you. I told you 5 years ago that this guy was like the best, and nobody would listen because it's I'm not watching that TNA shite. I was like, I fucking told you that he was great, and nobody listened.
Okay, so when Angle was who got me watching TNA back in the day, because TNA was this mythical place where Kurt Angle happens to be.
Exactly.
But then AJ got me. Well, AJ and Joe, to be fair, got me to stay.
Not Curry Man.
I love Curry Man, to be fair.
You have no idea. I talked about earlier in this podcast how my parents just don't agree with me watching professional wrestling at all. And fucking Curry Man doesn't help my case.
Shark Boy, the rock and rave connection.
Let's not derail it with shit TNA gimmicks.
Black
Rain. Top 10.
See, I showed Curry Man to my then 6-year-old, and he thought it was absolutely amazing.
His finisher was the Spice Rack. That's just genius.
He even drew Curryman in my birthday card. That's how much he loved it.
That is amazing.
Your kid is amazing.
Also, it's a really underrated feud, but it's stuff with Bully Ray, and then when he walked off with the championship.
Yeah.
Like, that was what the CM Punk walking off the championship should have been. And then his New Japan run, and I'm sorry, Garth, because we apparently can't go a fucking podcast without me mentioning New Japan, but Jesus Christ, his New Japan run. I
agree with that. I mean, he's another one who shone a massive spotlight on that promotion again.
Him being on Wrestle Kingdom 9 is what got me watching New Japan in the first place. And very quickly, Rob, have you seen his match with Minoru Suzuki in the G1?
Is that G1 24?
It was 24 or 25. It's one of the two.
I haven't seen G1 24 or 25, so.
Right, so that's on the list for our next classic, just saying. Okay, go on, Garth.
I think, again, he's another one of those people who has been able to move place to place and still keep churning out, like, 5-star matches.
Exactly. Like, he only stopped having 5-star matches last year in 2018.
Exactly, and
he's still the best in the Fed. Don't get me wrong.
He gave John Cena arguably the best match he's had in how long?
Since
10
Punk.
years.
Since Punk, exactly. His match with Cena was such a good. And then, to be fair, even like last year, he had I think it's the highest rated main roster Fed match of last year, at least for me, was his match with Brian TLC, and that got a 9 out of 10 out of me.
Yeah, I can't remember it.
Well, did you watch TLC? Because I don't remember if you did.
I think I did. For that, I think I watched it for that match.
But yeah, he's the best thing about, like, he's right now, he's like a Bret Hart, where they will default to him. They're like, oh, we have no one else to put the title on, let's put it on AJ because it'll be a consistent quality.
Yeah. Just such a good, again, like, arguably in the top 3 or 4 in the world still, maybe.
He's probably in objective terms, yes, but the problem is he doesn't have the scope in WWE to put on his classics. In fact, he's probably in WWE because he doesn't need to try as hard, and I respect that, because, to be fair, he has like 15 years of killing himself before getting to the Fed. And then a year of killing himself in
It's kind of like the retirement home for legends now, where they go to sort of coast for a bit. Like Nakamura's doing it.
Nakamura. To be fair, I'd say like a lot of indie guys like Cedric and Ali, but like they're mostly there for money, and I don't blame them. But it's got depressing all of a sudden. AJ's amazing.
AJ Styles, number 4. Number 3 again, interlinked with the last 2, Samoa Joe. Just what a fucking monster. And the guy who, after AJ, when I saw him on sort of TNA, and the first time I saw him, I thought, oh, well, who's this sort of fat dude? And then I saw him wrestle, and it was like, holy motherfucking shit. Like, this is what I want. Smash mouth, but athletic, doing those, like, corner sort of overhead kick things, and his intensity, his promos, everything. Even back then, even sort of 2007, 2006 TNA, just hooked. Him and AJ just had us absolutely hooked on TNA. I was like, right, that's it. WWE, piss off. And ever since then, I've just followed Samoa Joe. I was so happy, so glad that he got to WWE. Not because he got the WWE, because other people actually got to see him. It was finally, like, people will see what they've been missing on. And then he got fucked. Then they fucked him over.
I don't think he's been fucked, because he's still... He could probably be inserted right now into any title feud, and if you want the title, you're probably like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, so he's the one person who his bona fide best run is TNA.
Yeah.
Like everyone else, you can go, like with AJ, you can go, oh, well, could argue New Japan, he was WWE champion or whatever. Yeah. With Angle, you can point to a million fucking different things. Samoa Joe is like the one bona fide. His best run was in TNA guy.
Yeah.
Maybe Ring of Honor, actually. But like that's mostly because Punk and Kabashi. But
I was going to say, that was like, it was like the golden year of Ring of Honor before they all sort of disbanded.
Oh yeah, before he signed with TNA to try and make money. And then he never did it. And went to WWE and made money. But like I remember when he turned up in NXT.
I know. That was the thing. It was like, what?
Because he just turned up because Kevin Owens was beating the shit out of Sami Zayn. And then Samoa Joe comes out and it's for fucking his original Fed song. Do you remember it? With like the it's fucking Jesus fuck. Like people were still cheering for Samoa Joe even though it was the worst theme song in Fed history.
I just love it. I mean, and you can tell he's one of the few people that they're happy just to say, just do a promo. And he'll do it. He'll cut a 30-second promo backstage and you'll be like, what the fuck? He's just got us instantly interested in this feud now.
No, that's the thing. Samoa Joe is the one person I care about in WWE right now. Because he seems to be the only person who cuts unscripted promos.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean.
Like, especially earlier this year, when he came out and was like, it was all the elimination people. And then he did a couple of like scripts and like, oh, Randy, I'll declaw the Viper, and Muhammad, I see fear in your eyes, goes to Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy tries to talk and he's like, whoa, pretend this is an AA meeting and shut up while I'm talking to the group. Oh, Joe, Jesus Christ.
It's even like that little feud he had with Rey Mysterio. It made Rey Mysterio like you actually cared again.
Yeah, no, exactly. And fucking those two matches were like 3 minutes long between the two of them. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. Although, in the case of Joe, that was believable. When Rey Mysterio beat Joe in like a minute, it's like, Jesus fuck, why the fuck would you do that? Jesus Christ. Fuck you.
His matches were angled though in TNA were fucking amazing.
Incredible. It's one of the best series ever.
Yeah, his stuff with AJ again, it's just those people were just so interlinked because they were the best. And stuff he did, the stuff what he did with the Nation of Violence was pretty shit, but it was he still put on good matches. The stuff he did with Taz was good.
To be fair, it's one of those amazing, like Punk with Paul Heyman, where like Samoa Joe didn't need a mouthpiece, but then you put him with Taz, who's even more unpredictable.
Mm-hmm. That's it. It was it's just it's amazing how sort of relatively short period of time it took Samoa Joe to just insert his way into my top favorite wrestlers of all time because he's just so fucking good. He's just so, like I say, believable. Which, I mean, my number two, in stark contrast.
He's very quick. He's probably had, who's he called? Baron Corbin's best match ever.
Well, that's the thing. Like, he made people give a shit about Baron Corbin for a little bit.
To be fair, I still give a shit about Baron Corbin because he makes WWE matches cry. And I just sit there going, well, that's just Japanese shit over here.
You know what? I don't mind him. I think the King Baron is perfect. Totally.
That's something for another podcast.
But no, Samoa Joe number 3. And in stark contrast to Samoa Joe, number 2 is...
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a homophobe.
The Ultimate Warrior. Yes.
Oh dear.
For parts unknown. The Ultimate Warrior. Yep. The man who, alongside the Legion of Doom, got me into wrestling. Because I saw him in a magazine, I was like, what the fuck is this? And the next day was, oh, it's wrestling. Do you want to watch it? I was like, yes. And that was it. Hooked. The thing about the Warrior is...
He's bigger than life, isn't he? Ultimate Warrior.
The thing about him is, he wasn't a very good wrestler. He was
At
a bodybuilder with face paint. but he was like a real life sort of cartoon comic book character, and you couldn't take your eyes off him for that 2-minute ring entrance. I would run around the ring for 2 minutes, absolutely blow himself up, then quickly have a match. But his promos were absolutely nonsensical, but you couldn't not watch them.
It's the thing. Ultimate Warrior's booking works. And I can't argue with that. Mostly because I fell for it with Ryback back in the day. No, because Ryback's the first time Ryback's the first time they did it in years and years and years and years and years.
Yeah.
And it worked. It got him over for about 3 months. And then he went against Punk and was like, well, even fucking Punk can't pull a good match out of this guy.
Yeah. But Warrior, obviously, the thing with Warrior is, he never actually really worked with that many people, in the sense that he didn't have like great matches with anyone really.
Well,
he had
Macho Man and Hogan and Macho Man.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Yeah, he's the most 80s of 80s characters.
Oh yeah, he's very much of the time. But
I somewhat respect that.
He just had, I don't know. It's hard for me to say why, but even now, me and my friends, we'll still talk about how great the Warrior was, or if one of them spots, for instance, a pair of Ultimate Warrior socks in New York, they will immediately buy it and bring it back.
You know what it's like? It's like how you will go out on nights out and have infinite, intelligent conversations with an infinite amount of people, but you'll remember that one nutter who tried to fight you. It's kind of like that. Like, of the nights out I've been on with infinite amount of people, and the one person I remember is someone who was 5'6" in Opium in Edinburgh who tried to start a fight with me because I was 6 foot tall.
Exactly. So it's like, it's the impact, it's those things. I mean, I'll always remember the time when Hogan came down and saved, Warrior came down and saved Hogan. It was like the comeback of the Warrior. And honestly, I don't think I've ever been happier.
That's Mania 8, isn't it?
Yeah, and you just hear his music and he just sprints down. It's that massive long entrance as well.
No,
and I remember me watching it at my friend's house, and I was like, I can't believe it.
I think that's the thing with Warrior, with people of like my generation, is that WWE has sent very mixed signals about how you should feel about the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh yeah, especially like DVD they put out.
Of the self-destruction of Ultimate Warrior. That's my first exposure to the Ultimate Warrior.
That was the most... that's the biggest burial since the screw job.
Being fair, it's all true. All of it's fucking true.
Yeah, but...
No, I understand why that doesn't matter to you, but sort of like... Because me and Garth get into the arguments about Warrior quite a lot.
Like, it is true, but then when you hear... when you hear like Chris Jericho and Edge talk about it, and they talk about that DVD specifically, and they say loads of that was taken totally out of context because they were asking us about the Warrior as in, what did he mean to you when you were a kid? And they're talking like in a sort of candid sense, but the way they put it together, they made it sound like he was this idiot buffoon who was spouting nonsense and nobody knew what he was talking about. Well, yeah, but that was the fun. But they spun it in a way to say it was bullshit, sort of.
I don't try to take Ultimate Warrior away from you because he's like I was someone who was really scared of the Great Khali as a child, so I can't really fault you at all with the Ultimate Warrior. But I was
one of the few people who actually even enjoyed his feud with Papa Shango.
Oh, hi, that was the thing. To be fair,
it was one vignette.
Well,
it wasn't a feud.
Wait, no, he did that, and he turned up a few weeks and had the black ooze and gel all over him and stuff, and then they had a match.
Jesus.
Basically, I imagine that jello was basically Papa Shango's semen.
Oh, fucking hell.
For fuck's sake, Chris. The ultimate blowy.
The ultimate blowier.
But no, Ultimate Warrior's my number 2. It's more what's the word?
It's a generational thing.
It's just for my youth. Like from my very, very early youth.
I think there should be aspects of Ultimate Warrior that we should bring forward. Like Lucha Underground is basically taking aspects of the Ultimate Warrior and bringing them forward.
Turn them up to 11.
But also,
and murdered them.
Literally.
The mixed signals that the Fed put forward about the Ultimate Warrior is sort of what makes him such a weird figure for someone of my generation.
The WWE completely destroyed any credibility they had by then going back and releasing yet another documentary about how amazing he was. I mean, on both documentaries, they had Triple H giving two completely separate interviews. On the first one,
exactly.
On the first one, exactly. He went on about how basically the Ultimate Warrior destroyed his WrestleMania experience by not selling the pedigree at WrestleMania 12. And then the next DVD said it was an honor to fight him. It's like, for God's sake, any credibility you have is completely ruined.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And also, I think. Again, this is probably a generational thing. All our generations have different opinions on sort of politics versus real man, but also the shit he said about gay people. Jesus Christ. And then they use his image during Pride Month. I'm sort of like, this is the 1 month you probably shouldn't use that image.
That's the thing. It's like, if you look at let's call it the Jim Hellwig stuff, where he's fucking doing his videos and his YouTube, that's just horse shit.
No, that's the thing. The Ultimate Warrior of a Man should not be preferred, but also he didn't do anything quite as bad where we should just go, well, his artistic work shouldn't, like, we've forgiven worse, I feel, and, like, a lot of his wrestling work, for what it is good.
It's just a shame that he did all that stuff, again, like the homophobia stuff, and then he did the whole thing about Hulk Hogan being gay and all that shit.
To be fair, it's not half as bad as Scott Steiner, who fucking has threatened to murder half the fucking WWE board of directors at this point.
Well, he's fucking crazy, one.
Yeah, but he only has a 33 and a third chance of killing those people. So.
Yes. But no, what is, like, the Ultimate Warrior dying was honestly, like, legitimately.
That was so weird.
I got legitimately upset, and I remember he died. I think I just moved, or just before I moved house, and I was decorating the bedroom, and I had a podcast on, and it was, I think it might be Jim Ross interviewing the Warriors manager, who was also his, like, best mate. And honestly, there was a couple of times I had to stop. I was just fucking, like, properly welling up. That's how much. That's the sort of how deep seated it is from being a kid. Honestly, my number one, when he fucking bites it, there's going to be like a memorial service.
To be fair, we do all have those celebrities who, when they die, we're probably going to take a few days away from, like, work or school or whatever we're doing.
Well, Jackie Chan
when we die, because we don't
Jim
know how
Carrey.
to fucking cope with it. Jackie Chan. I know Jackie Chan from it. When Paul McCartney dies, I'm probably going to slit my fucking wrists.
Nah. No, I'm not, because I'm going to cash in. So I've got some limited edition Todd McFarlane Beatles figures. As soon as that last one dies, shit, fucking get them sold.
I own the Paul McCartney 1960s Yellow Submarine figure and a couple of vintage Beatles albums, so I'll fucking cash in as well. I can't lie, but
anyway, number one, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Seriously?
I know it's a shock. I know.
Who the fuck saw that coming? Because you're so against wrestling as an in-ring storytelling medium.
Like, good wrestling is never my go-to. I suppose it isn't anymore, actually. But
no, it literally isn't. For me and Rob were like, hey, so this New Japan stuff, like, literally the best wrestling we've ever seen in our fucking life.
Yeah, I know,
like,
but
I'm going to watch fucking Tessa Blanchard because I fancy her.
If they did 1 hour catch-up shows, I would fucking watch it.
They do. They're on Access TV.
I don't have access. Anyway, Bret Hart.
You literally don't have access.
best wrestler ever was for me. Not the best promo, but
I like he got in there before I could start talking.
but still, just yeah. The thing is, there's nothing really I can say that I haven't already said on every other podcast.
Literally every other pod, even when we were just doing modern wrestling, every podcast.
Just yeah, the Hitman Hart. It's hard to pick a favorite match.
It's hard to pick a favorite. He holds a special place in your heart.
Damn right. His matches with Owen, amazing. His match with Austin, one of the best matches. His match with Bulldog at SummerSlam 92. The fact that Bulldog was still off his tits.
Absolutely off his fucking tits. He was doing crack for 6 months with Night.
Exactly. Just his body of work is arguably, well, for me, untouchable. Almost.
For the Fed, yeah.
Apart from his WCW run, which was just fucking pointless.
That doesn't count.
Let's be honest.
That doesn't count because Hulk Hogan was basically booking WCW at that point. So,
obviously, Screwjob aside, his matches with Shawn were good. Perfect, which we mentioned earlier, were amazing. And the thing with Bret is, he wasn't really very charismatic, or he didn't have anything that would draw you in on the promo aspect. There was just something about his matches that I wanted to watch when I was younger.
They were very logical, his matches.
And believable and crisp, and you never doubted that you were going to get a good match.
There was never a logical hole in, but if you don't like a Bret Hart match, you can't really explain why you didn't like it, because he leaves no logical holes within his matches.
But I think obviously in today's sort of landscape, it will be maybe seen as quite slow and sometimes slightly boring.
Well, speaking as for representation of modern day wrestling fans, no, I guess I'm a bit of an exception because of my enjoyment of King Road stuff. I do enjoy the slow build to the crescendo, which Bret Hart was quite good at.
I do see his name crop up a lot more recently when it comes to name the most overrated wrestler ever. Bret Hart's name comes up a lot now.
I hate those discussions,
and I think it must be a generational thing.
Well, I think you need to have a somewhat deep understanding of how pro wrestling works. You respect the fuck out of Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
If you say your my niece is only just now starting to somewhat come around to the idea of enjoying pro wrestling, you'd probably fucking hate a Bret Hart match. But once you understand the psychology, or that's the thing, Bret Hart matches are just pure psychology. Maybe some pretty chain wrestling, but he's not. He's not he's not throwing stiff lariats. He's not doing high spots, but you're drawn into his match.
The thing is, it's he knows when to hold back stuff, so he would do a high spot, but maybe only once at the right time.
You can't say Bret Hart does a high spot because I do have a high spot was from the second rope.
Well, I don't mean a high spot. I mean
a superplex,
a big spot.
Yeah,
like the superplex on British Bulldog, things like that.
No,
where nobody did that.
And he's the master of having a finish come from nowhere,
which is lost now.
Well, with the exception of Walter, yeah, it's lost now.
Mm-hmm. So I can't. Like I say, I can't. There's not a lot more I can really say. He's just. There's not a lot more that people don't already know as well.
It's super smarky, but my ideal dream match is of Bret Hart in a 1993 All Japan. I want to see what Bret Hart does against Stan Hansen, mostly because I want to see the unique way Stan Hansen would murder him.
Just fucking club the shit out of him.
Oh, fucking aye.
I would like to have seen him versus Tiger Mask. I know we did have matches in Calgary.
He had matches in Japan where Tiger Mask. Bret Hart went everywhere. Like, he had a Memphis run, did Bret Hart.
When he was Cowboy?
Yeah.
Bret Hart.
No. This is during his Fed run because he had a agreement with Lawler.
Oh.
But
His feud with Lawler was actually really good.
His promos with Lawler.
Laura?
Like, fucking...
It's not TNA.
I've drunk a fair few beers through this podcast, Rob, right?
No, it's a Hitman, and I did think about putting Owen on the list, but I thought I don't really remember that much about Owen from.
Fingers of Owen, he's someone who more had the potential than he was never given a go.
That's the thing, but
Bret Hart is Owen if Owen was given a go, and if Owen couldn't cut promos,
if he didn't die.
Fucking all right, make it more. Like,
the thing with Bret as well,
Garth,
like,
if I'm not here to make things morbid, I don't know what the fuck I'm here. All right.
The thing with Bret is when you think about all the shit that he's had to go through and the shit he's put up with. The fact he even bothered kept on going. It's like fucking hell. Like,
that's a mood. The fact that he even kept bothered to keep on going. That's a massive mood.
But he just even now when he showed up on All Elite that time with the belt and stuff like that,
me and you were texting throughout that show, and then I stopped.
And I went quiet when Brett came on.
no, that's the thing. I went through to the kitchen to get a beer, and then I just got a text from you going, "Yes!" I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" When I walked through, it's like, "Oh fuck, it's Brett." That makes perfect sense because it's Garth.
Yeah, almost as big as my pop for
Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong.
That's one of my favorite wrestling memories of this year. Like, combined with going to U2 with U2 to take over, was texting Garth during All Elite because I've never seen him more excited about wrestling.
Bless him.
But yeah, that's my top 10.
Thank you very much, mate.
Thanks.
So next week is my top 10, and just looking very briefly down my top 10 list.
Are we putting progress off another week? Jesus Christ.
I meant next time. I didn't mean next week. I meant next time. Just calm your tits, Chris. Jesus.
I don't know.
What progress, goddammit?
But yeah, just looking at my top 10, there's one that's the same. So
Just one?
Just the one that is the same.
Wow.
It's either Angle or Jericho. I'm calling it.
So you're like a Warrior as well, then?
Yeah, I'm massive homophobe fan, me.
I really hope it's Angle or Jericho, because then we'd all share one across all our top 10s, and I'll be very poetic. Oh, is it one of them? I'm very happy.
But no, thank you very much, Garth. It's time to end the podcast, because we're actually sort of ending at a relatively decent time. So thank you everyone for listening.
This is the earliest we've ever ended a podcast, and that includes when we started at 8.
I know. Tell me about it. 1 hour and 27 minutes at the moment, so get in.
That's fucking concise.
I know. Tell me about it. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We really do appreciate it. You can check us out on any of the podcast platforms, anywhere you get your podcasts from. Please, you can download us from there. You can talk to us on Twitter at PodMania, Facebook at PodMania, YouTube, The Real PodMania. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. G-Man, what is yours?
Garthamania.
And Christopher?
At Candy. Don't call me Christopher. Jesus Christ. Only my nana calls me Christopher, and that's when I'm in fucking trouble. At CandyChris97.
Brilliant. And thank you again, guys, for listening. Just a couple of housekeeping things. On Monday, it is the new episode of SmackDown on our Universe mode. Please check it out on our website, www.podmania.co.uk. Next Wednesday, we will have our King of Pro Wrestling review with me and Chris on the Young Lioncast.
I'm so excited.
I know. And then on Saturday, it will be our Progress review. So thank you again, guys.
It's a very Chris week.
It is a very, very Chris week. It's basically Chris's wet dream is next week, which is an image I'm going to leave you all with. You're welcome.
Quite an image, ladies. I am on Tinder. Also, awesome man, but it has to be the right man.
Just the right man. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
You've been listening to the PodMania Pro Wrestling Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at PodMania, Facebook at PodMania Podcasts, and YouTube and Instagram at Real PodMania. And check out the website, podmania.co.uk. Until next time, wrestling fans.